The Pearl is the tallest, most advanced building in the world.
You've built a vertical city, but you've brought with it every single safety and security challenge that I could think of.
We thought this floor was empty.
So did I.
Not only have you brought them all indoors, but you've trapped them 240 floors in the air. No one really knows what would happen if things go wrong. But I'm just a glorified security guard, so what the hell do I know anyway? What's going on?
The 96th floor is on fire.
You're gonna be just fine, I promise you that.
No, 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 no!
Daddy! Tell me, how much do you love your family?
If we're gonna get out of here, you're gonna have to tell me the truth.
There's a reason they chose this building.
My family is the only thing that matters to me right now.
Aloha. This is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man. And Friday, gosh, what is this? Friday the 12th, I believe. I went ahead and I saw Skyscraper with The Rock. And this is starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and a whole host of other people, but it really is pretty much The Rock show in this. So, you know, if you're going to see this movie, the only reason you're going to see this movie is because The Rock is in it and because you want to see The Rock, not because of all these other crazy people in it. So remember our rating scale. Shock a thumbs up. It's good to see. I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down. It's bad to see. It's junk. I don't recommend it. And, well, for Skyscraper, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, it is ultimately a shock a thumbs down. Now, look, I love Jumanji. I enjoyed Rampage even more than Jurassic World Part 2. However, Skyscraper, the best way to describe this movie is a blending of both Die Hard, the original, and the 70s disaster movie Towering Inferno. That is the best way to describe this movie. As you've seen from the trailers, essentially this is now the tallest building in the world, the Pearl, built in Hong Kong by a, you know, billionaire Chinese investor who wants, you know, to have shops and living quarters up on top. Now, essentially, this is like they say 3,000 feet in the air. That's like a half mile. They say it dwarfs, you know, the tallest building right now in Dubai, in the Middle East, by at least 1,000 feet. So it is way up there. And of course, you know, why I compare it to the Towering Inferno is, well, there's a fire. Why do I compare it to Die Hard Part 1 is, well, because there's a bunch of people that seem like terrorists, but are ultimately after one specific item from this rich building designer. You know, so it is motivated by somewhat of greed and also for self-survival for these criminals, which is what it ultimately comes down to. And again, as the trailer does show, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson plays a security advisor who has been hired to assess, you know, the security of this building, the safety of this building. Being the tallest in the world, it has, of course, implicit, you know, security needs and designs. But ultimately, he passes it. But of course, the human factor is what is the flaw in this system overall. The building itself, the computer system, the security system, once you have the access passwords, which these criminals steal, they pretty much can shut down whatever features, whatever safety features this building has, unfortunately, and thus are able to start this fire and keep it going to stop the building from putting it out, regardless of how many fire suppression systems it has. Now, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, from the trailers, he looked like he was a soldier of some type. He turns out to be a former FBI agent, which apparently gave him fantastic skills as both like a mountaineer and firefighter almost in this building. I could see the security assessment capability that his character would have, based on his training. But essentially his backstory is only to give him a fighting chance towards defeating these, criminals/terrorists from walking all over him and his family, and them getting ultimately what they want from this rich entrepreneur. Very much like the criminals in Die Hard did. So because it's not really an original idea, and also, although The Rock does attempt to sell these dramatic bits, the rest of the plot, the rest of the story, and other than his wife, the other characters just seem to be pretty cookie cutter. Again, just say, okay, act like that guy from Die Hard, the villains in Die Hard, and you'll be this. Now, although he doesn't have any shoes, The Rock is missing his leg, which, is an interesting predicament for him. And it does add some comic and bit of a few tense moments, again, as you saw in the trailer, where his leg is about to pop off, that he's hanging by this rope from his artificial limb. Now, but this, the weight of his body and the force of the way that he's hanging would have probably popped that leg off, because just maybe 10, 20 minutes earlier, we see he's in a fight with someone and they pull off his leg quite, somewhat easily. So how he didn't, how it didn't come off and him fall to his death is only because he is the star in this movie. And just one other major plot flaw in this movie is that, at the very end, a little bit of a spoiler, he is surrounded by flames. The building is full inferno mood, up from the 96th floor up to the very 220th floor, if not higher. And, okay, 9/11 was a terrible tragedy, and it showed that skyscrapers do tend to collapse in upon themselves, especially when half of the building has been melted by fire. There's no reason this building, whatever materials it was, I guess, can survive the heat of these, of the building being in flames for hours, where it's not an issue. And then plus, when the fire suppression system is brought back online, all the fire goes out immediately without any apparent structural problems in this building at all. So The Rock is, of course, saved in the end. So ultimately, for believability aspects of it, and as far as sheer story feasibility, I have to give it a Shaka thumbs down. Those are the only reasons. Again, this was a pretty cookie cutter plot, story. The Rock does attempt to sell it. I think that this is our first inkling of seeing maybe Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as, old man Rock, basically. So when he gets old and he can no longer do the action scenes, there's a little bit of gray in his beard. I think this is, the kind of dramatic kind of acting you know, or move towards dramatic acting that he would like to take in the future if he continues to act well beyond his action star days. You know, and you know, for the most part, he sells it, but he just needs to find a tighter script that will assist him further in this. Other than that, I just have to say, if you really love The Rock, go see it on matinee or on the discount days, $7 at Consolidated on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, $6 at Regal. You know, I wouldn't pay any more than that. I wouldn't even pay matinee. Just see it on the discount days. I think the box office is going to reflect that Ant-Man is going to probably stay #1. Maybe The Rock can push out Jurassic Park since it's been out longer. Or, I'm sorry, Jurassic World Part 2. You know, I think it'll be close, though, with Skyscraper and Jurassic World. Other than that, I think that's going to be about it for the weekend as far as the box office numbers. Because, again, it just really doesn't have the oomph that, say, Rampage or Jumanji especially had with The Rock, despite his best efforts and attempts. So definitely go ahead and wait for streaming, or again, those discount days for that. This is a, you know, catch on Netflix. I would dare say that if The Rock was not in this movie, it would have been one of those straight to DVD kind of movies. All right, thank you so much. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, giving Skyscraper ultimately a shocker thumbs down, despite a good performance from The Rock. All right, thank you so much, and aloha.